Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here, your source for gaming, tech, emulation, and open source news. Let's get started. Alright, to kick things off, we're talking about the Nintendo Switch 2. Now, we talked about the Switch 2 in yesterday's video with this exact article. Nintendo Switch 2 breaking all console sales records in history, it's claimed. And we were wondering whether or not this information was legitimate. They say here 3 independent people, but we don't know who those people are. We don't know if they work for Nintendo. We don't know if they're insiders or just random people making crazy claims. And Nintendo has not issued any statement on the matter just yet. Anyways, over on VGC, the story seems to be a little bit different, and this is why I'm saying we're going to have to wait for final sales numbers, or at least any sort of sales numbers. Because this is the headline: Switch 2 is UK's biggest Nintendo launch, but sales didn't come close to PlayStation 5. Now again, it's worth pointing out we don't have official global sales figures at this point in time, and we're going to have to wait and see for those overall to see how the Switch stacks up. But UK, which is not global, just one area here, the Switch is sitting in 4th place, the Switch 2 rather, and the Xbox Series beat it in terms of console launches, which I'm really surprised about. PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5 also beat it. It is Nintendo's best launch. It beats the Wii, it beats the Switch, but at the same time, it pales in comparison, I guess, to the Xbox Series, PS4, and PS5. Let me know your thoughts about that one in the comments below and how you think this will play up to the overall global sales figures. Unfortunately, I don't know if we're going to have to find out information from third-party sources or if Nintendo's going to have enough information to talk about it on June 27th, or if we're going to have to wait until later on, or if Nintendo just decides to go out and say how many they've sold. Let me know again your thoughts about all of this in the comments below. And speaking about announcements and Nintendo, next up we're talking about an announcement that happened on a random Tuesday from Nintendo that took a lot of people by surprise. And that is Splatoon Raiders. I was not expecting this. Unfortunately, I don't know a whole lot about this game just yet. I don't know the release date. I don't know the whole story behind it. We don't know a whole lot. But it does seem as if Splatoon Raiders is going to be a bit of a spin-off compared to the standard Splatoon. It's going to be different than the Splatoon we're very familiar with. There seems as if there may be some sort of adventure element to it, and, well, the game may shape up a little bit differently, and I'm very curious to know more about it. I'm assuming Nintendo is going to drop some more information about this one relatively soon. But if you wanted to watch the trailer and learn more about it, as well as Splatoon 3's upcoming patch, like everything we talk about, links are in the description below right at the bottom. I don't hide my sources. And speaking about surprise announcements, next up we're talking about Slope's Game Room. And it seems as if Slope's Game Room is up for deletion, and not because they want to delete the channel. It's a very interesting story overall, and Super Sega is kind of involved. If you are curious about this one and wanted to learn more about it in detail, I do recommend checking out the Slopes Game Room video here titled "I Need Your Help. This channel is set for deletion." And it seems as if private data within Google Drive is not necessarily private. I mean, Google says right here in regards to Drive, we may review content to determine whether it is illegal or violates our program policies. And we may remove or refuse to display content that we reasonably believe violates our policies or the law. But that does not necessarily mean that we review content, so please don't assume that we do. Or maybe do assume that they do because of what happened to Slope's Game Room. Now, I don't know about you, but I find this entire situation extremely interesting for a number of different reasons, and I guess a number of different angles. Anyways, the way I understand it, at a very high level here, DJ Slope was somehow in a public Super Sega WhatsApp group. The group was talking in Spanish. There was a lot of conversation involved that DJ Slope was not involved with. He was just in the group. DJ Slope does not speak Spanish, so he downloaded the entire transcript, uploaded it to Google Drive to have a translator look at it to see if anything was worth reporting on. And that got him banned, I guess, or got his account shut down. So DJ Slope says it turns out the group included several images of a hate speech nature, and he believes that this is what triggered Google to disable the account. He was unaware of what was in the public WhatsApp group, but it was solely for investigative journalism. Now, given that context, I would say this situation is super weird and super unfortunate. And it kind of goes to show that YouTube doesn't really do a great job supporting its creators, at least in my opinion. I think YouTube needs way more support staff. It relies too much on bots to try to get things done. And when stuff like this happens, when additional context is necessary, It's really hard to get a hold of someone. And Slopes Game Room's channel is not small at all. He's almost at 200,000 subscribers. But let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. I mean, this whole situation, even with Super Sega, I would say the entire Super Sega project has been questionable at best, at very best. Add in this layer of complexity, and well, that's even worse. And for Slopes Game Room here, I'm hoping they can get it resolved. I mean, given the context, if all of this is true, I don't see why that account should be disabled. Anyways, I don't know if they're going to get through to someone. I really hope they do. I hope the whole case can be reviewed and hopefully be resolved. But moving on, and we're switching here from something negative to something positive, unless you don't want to hear about Hollow Knight Silksong, because we're talking about Hollow Knight Silksong. So next up here, Hollow Knight Silksong we know is releasing at some point in 2025. We still don't have a firm release date. We know that this is not going to be tied to a specific console. And we now know what consoles and everywhere basically that Hollow Knight Silksong is going to be released. They have just updated their website, and there are a couple of pleasant surprises. Hollow Knight Silksong is coming out to the original Nintendo Switch. It is coming to PS4 as well as PC, PS5, Switch 2, and Xbox. Now, Hollow Knight Silksong is being developed by just a team of 3 people. It's a very small development team. And I am hoping here that this game lives up to the anticipation and expectations of it. I mean, the original Hollow Knight I think is absolutely fantastic. And I am hoping here the sequel is going to be just as good or maybe even better. Who knows? Let me know your thoughts about this one and if you're interested in the game. And speaking about games and stuff you may be interested in, next up we're talking about ChatGPT versus the Atari 2600. And the Atari 2600 won. So we're talking about chess here, and listen to this title. ChatGPT got absolutely wrecked by Atari 2600 in beginner's chess match. OpenAI's newest model bamboozled by 1970s logic. I don't know here, I guess before AI takes over the world, it's nice to get some wins in against it here and there, or just find some funny stuff about it. And they go on to say, OpenAI's latest and greatest AI model was outclassed by the 1.19 megahertz near 50-year-old console gaming legend. The kicker here, and this is a huge kicker, it was at the beginner level. It wasn't at intermediate or advanced, and I don't know what's going on here with ChatGPT. I recommend giving the article a read. ChatGPT, I guess, was making excuses on the abstract nature of the pieces, but it wasn't learning, and the Atari 2600 kept beating it and beating it. And that is, I don't want to say it's alarming, it's just super weird and wild. I mean, ChatGPT blaming not being able to recognize the pieces almost seems like an excuse a human would make. And I mean, this line here is not doing ChatGPT any favors either. ChatGPT made enough blunders to get laughed out of a 3rd grade chess club. So it seems it's having a real hard time understanding chess, or at least competing against an Atari 2600. I'm laughing now, I probably won't be laughing in the future. I mean, we've laughed at AI before. Well, I don't know if you have, I have. For example, that whole Will Smith pasta eating stuff. And AI has come a very far way in a very short period of time. And I'm guessing here it's only a matter of time before it's able to beat an Atari 2600. But then what happens when it takes on something like a Super Nintendo? Who knows? And speaking about stuff that's been around for a while, next up we're talking about Jeff Minter and their 4-decade career in game development. Now there's a documentary film that has been filmed, it's complete, but there's a Kickstarter for the Blu-ray. So the Kickstarter is called The Heart of Neon Blu-ray. Own the film about a life in video games. Heart of Neon tells the story of how game developer Jeff Minter went from pioneer to legend. And the Kickstarter has already smashed its goal. It was only looking for about $16,000 and has almost doubled that so far. 603 backers and 10 days left to go. Now the film is already done. I'd say the risk of this one is super low. It's really just for the Blu-ray. I would also say the backer tiers on this one are very reasonable. I mean, for $13 you can get a thank you with your name in the credits. For $25 you can get a digital download. For $45, and I think this is the big one here, you can get a Blu-ray of this movie. On top of all of that, there's 2 tiers here I find very interesting. They're a little bit more expensive though, a lot more expensive. But one tier here is $1,000, and it's the Executive Producer Deluxe Pledge. And this will get your name in IMDb as an executive producer. Crazy. And the second one here is $2,000. And that gets you some consultation if you wanted to direct your own film. Now, if you're not familiar with Jeff Minter, I do recommend giving the Wikipedia article a read just for a very high level about him and also all of the video games he's done over the years. I mean, this guy is responsible for a whole lot, and I mean a whole lot, and that's not underselling it, that's not overselling it. There is a lot here he's been involved with. And speaking about a lot of stuff, next up we're talking about Steam. If you're a PC gamer and you've got a Steam account, you might be excited about this. Steam Next Fest is now in effect. It's between June 9th to June 16th. And there are a whole lot of demos you can check out absolutely free for maybe finding your next favorite game. Additionally, for Steam, the Steam Client Beta was just updated, and not the stable version, but the beta. And this will be rolling out to the stable version at some point in time when everything has been tested and it gets the green light. But this, if you got an 8-bit-do controller, you might be excited about. Steam has added the ability to bind paddles and L4, R4 buttons on the 8-bit-do Ultimate 2 wireless controller when connected via Bluetooth. On top of that, and this one I'm really excited about because it's my favorite controller right now, or at least my favorite 8-bit-do controller, and that's the Pro 2. I use this thing all the time. I've got multiple Pro 2s. Anyways here, added the ability to bind the paddles on the 8-bit-do Pro 2 controller when in direct input mode. And that to me is awesome. It's a part of the beta. It's not part of the mainline build just yet. But once all the bugs and all the kinks get worked out, it's probably going to be merged relatively soon. Next up, we're shifting from Steam to arguably one of Steam's biggest current competitors. And I'm not talking about Epic or GOG or anything like that. I'm talking about Xbox and Game Pass and that entire ecosystem, especially with this brand new handheld. It seems that Xbox is going to be using something similar to Deck Verified here for their handheld. And the latest report is Xbox plans to have a Deck Verified compatibility system for the ROG Xbox Ally and Xbox Ally X. On Microsoft's website, they've outlined the 5 key checks to make sure a game has been optimized. Check number 1, defaults just work. You don't have to go in and configure everything. Everything should just work right out of the box. And number 2 is iconography. Basically, the game can't suggest control inputs that are not on the Xbox Ally. Number 3, text input. You have to be able to read stuff. Number 4, UI legibility, which is similar to text input. You have to be able to read the UI. And number 5 is supported display. Games cannot be distorted. They have to be at a resolution that's supported with the ROG Xbox Ally. Now, interestingly here, as part of the 5 key checks, I didn't see anything regarding performance. And I would assume that would be some sort of check. It's probably a much minor portion, but at the same time, I think it should be one of the big ones, that the game actually runs and runs well. Who knows here? Let me know your thoughts about this stuff in the comments below. Next up, we're talking about Android, and this one is pretty big. Android 16 has just released. And it feels really weird saying that. If you're a Dragon Ball fan, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Anyways, this one is pretty big. It hasn't released to every single device just yet, but it will be rolling out to more devices as time goes on. I know if you've got a Pixel 9 Pro XL, you will have Android 16 available. At least I do. I've tested this one out yet, and if you don't know what you're looking for, you may not notice a difference. So arguably here, the big thing for Android 16 is Material 3 Expressive, which is the UI overhaul, the brand new look and feel. That's not scheduled until September 3rd. So Android 16 looks very similar to Android 15, but Android 16 lays the groundwork for all of the great stuff coming. And in Android 16 right now, there's better performance and battery life, enhanced camera and media capabilities, and even more. It's not a nothing update. It's still a pretty big update. On top of that, the desktop mode for Android 16 is now here. So from my understanding, Google has worked with the people behind Samsung DeX very closely to develop a very similar thing for Google and Google Pixel devices and, well, I guess Android in general. And I think that is a very nice feature, and I'm hoping they spend more time working on it and making it even better, and I think they are. And last up here, we're talking about the Nintendo Switch 2. Now, if you've got a Switch 2 and you've been having terrible battery life, and I'm talking more terrible battery life than what's already stated, there may be a fix or there may be some hope for you, and this may be part of being an early adopter. Anyways, here, there's a fix to help the bad battery life issue. According to Nintendo Soup, and again, like everything we talk about, links are in the description below, I guess this whole problem can be fixed or remedied, or at least attempted to be fixed, by performing a battery calibration. The joys of early adoption. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and the legendary one fluff. We talked about a bunch today. Feel free to discuss anything we talked about in the comments below. If you like this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button. Check out my other videos. Don't tempt fate. Save your state.